Good afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. Mahesh, on behalf of Bangalore Sahodaya School Complex Association and entire fraternity, welcome you all to the session Productive Management of the Mind and the Heart and the Head. Our eminent speakers of the session, Dr. Katrakiri Bhujanashetty, the founder director and founder chairman, managing director, Narayana Nethralaya Eye Institute, Bangalore. Dr. Kannan Girish, CEO of Live Life Education Private Limited. Dr. Jitendra Nagpal sir, Program Director, Expressions India, the National Life Skills. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Dr. Khatrak Bujana Shetty. Diet is the day of essential for all successful healing. Without a proper balanced diet, the effectiveness of herbal treatment is very limited. Dr. Bujana Shetty, founder, chairman, and managing director, Narayana Nethralaya Eye Institute, Bangalore, and founder of Narayana Nethralaya Foundation, Bangalore Charitable Trust. Dr. Bhujana Shetty is one of the leading luminaries in the field of ophthalmic healthcare in the country. He founded Narayana Nethralaya in Bangalore over 38 years ago, which has been constantly named as one of the top 10 tertiary eye care centers in India today. Narayana Nethralaya is renowned for socially relevant research and partnerships with the government in elevating blindness. The unique contributions of Dr. Shetty's institution includes childhood blindness prevention, its flagship program, Kidrobe, Karnataka Internet assisted diagnosis for retinopathy of prematurity. Narayana Nethralaya has been performing free screening and treatment for all babies who are born in government hospitals since the past 12 years. This is the largest such endeavor in the world. Under this program, Narayana Nethralaya partnered with local industry and IIT Madras to invent a low-cost infant eye camera, the Trinetra Neo, which won the BIRAC Innovation Award in 2018 by Government of India. This was developed under the Make in India scheme. Dr. Chetty's Children's Eye Care Education, that is cancer program, provides free surgical therapy to over 90% of the cases who have eye cancers. Dr. Shetty's manages an excellent postgraduate and super specialty training program that is accredited by the National Board of Examinations, New Delhi, and the Rajiv Gandhi University in Karnataka. His humble beginning from a small town in coastal Karnataka to his establishing a dream center of eye care training, service, and research are a testimony to his determination and hard work, defeating different difficult circumstances and emerging successful, making him an ideal role model. This Karnataka Rajyotsava awardee is also an author of a spiritual bestseller, The Power of Love. Dr. Bhujanashetty is an outstanding healthcare leader of our country and a role model for the medical profession. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mahesh, for your wonderful words. And good afternoon, everybody. Well, the topic given to me is predictive management of the mind and the heart with the head. What I thought was there could be no productivity without good health. So today's talk, I'll be concentrating on health. And this health talk would be a little unconventional, maybe a little controversial also. So kindly receive it with an open mind. There's an old saying, a person with health has 1,000 dreams, but a person without health has only one dream, and that's to get back his health. Well, the problem with the health is that we don't know its value till we lose it. That's why they say that the value of water is known only when the well dries up. So also, if you want to know the value of health, you need to visit a cancer hospital. If you want to know the value of freedom, you need to visit a jail. If you want to know the value of, um, say, life, you need to visit a cemetery. Let's not wait till that time. As you all know, health is our greatest wealth. But unfortunately, we spend most of our time chasing success, chasing wealth, chasing fame, and sometimes at the cost of our health. And all your wealth can never ever get back your health again. So let's treasure what we have and let's see that we are in the best of health all the time. So today I'm primarily talking about what's called chronic lifestyle diseases. Now, what are these? These are obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, mm, heart problems, which account for almost majority of the deaths these days. And how are these lifestyle diseases caused? The primary cause for all of the lifestyle diseases is our bad diet options. Of course, lack of adequate exercise and stress, smoking and tobacco also play a role. But today I'm going to concentrate only on proper diet. As I mentioned earlier, the common causes of our chronic lifestyle diseases in India alone, we have about 72 million people who suffer from cardiovascular diseases and a huge amount from diabetes. I feel it's more than even cardiovascular diseases because diabetes is simply going through the roof. And of course, chronic respiratory diseases also account for a huge number. And with this pandemic that has now come to the fore, strokes, there is another 1.5 million, and also almost a million people suffer from cancer. These are all common lifestyle diseases. And what I want to stress today is that 75% of these diseases could be prevented if we had just the simple right diet. Yes, I repeat again, 75% of these diseases could have been prevented if we ate the right kind of food. Let's see what they are. Our leading causes of death, what I mentioned just now, and sometimes unfortunately they're all premature, and since they are all related to what we eat, it is simple. If we correct our diet, then we could easily prevent most of these diseases. Let me, you must be wondering, well, diet is what we've been having for ages, centuries. Why now this problem? Well, we have statistics from USA in the last 100 years. The per capita intake of meat has increased by about 100%. Per capita intake of chicken has increased by 500%, and cheese by over 800%. Just imagine, I mean, it's the same story here in India. In the last 50 years, our habits have dramatically changed, especially our eating habits. No wonder all these so called lifestyle diseases have gone through the roof. Well, whenever we fall sick, we think, okay, it's normal aging process. There's nothing we can really do about. Maybe, I got it from my parents. We blame them through our genes. But I want to tell you, friends, today that, of course, genes do play a role. I don't say no. I don't deny the fact. But maybe a minor role, maybe 10 to 15% only, because these genes are more influenced by these diseases are more influenced by the environment than the genes themselves. No wonder somebody has said that genes just load the gun, it's the environment that pulls the trigger. Here I am just trying to show you an example of identical twins. They have exactly the same genes. And were they to have different kind of a lifestyle and environment, you can see on your left the person with very good lifestyle with proper diet, exercise, how his body is, and the other half with laid back couch potato type of a lifestyle and how his body is, although they have identical genes. So that goes to say that our environment, the way we eat, and our environment is more important than even our genes. One of the leading causes of death, as you all know, is from heart attacks. People suddenly, the sad part is that you use the 50% of the people who die from heart attacks are first attack, and they die instantaneously. There are no warning signals. So but why these the the heart attacks have gone up these days? There's a story I heard it from a heart surgeon who said maybe 30 years back, the 30-year-old son used to bring the 60-year-old father for heart treatment. But today it's the other way around: 60-year-old father bringing the 30-year-old son for heart ailments. That's because of our eating style has changed dramatically in the last 30 to 50 years. Now here's some proof for you. Actually, these are angiograms way back in the 90s itself, wherein the coronary artery supplying blood to our heart muscle is blocked. The picture on your left side, and completely blocked. And within about 2 to 3 years of just changing the diet, there the arteries have opened up. There is no other intervention excepting for a change of diet. And regarding what's that diet, I want to discuss today. And one other very common disease, I'm sure you all have heard about it, and there's one in every family or more, is diabetes. Diabetes, when I was a student way back in early 80s, only 5% of our population had diabetes. And now more than 30% of the Indian adult population suffer from diabetes. Why is it shot through the roof or gone haywire? It's just because mostly depends on how we eat. And the sad part is, we all know that diabetes is a one-way street, and ultimately it attacks your eyes, your kidneys, your heart, and you succumb to such things. But there is good news. I just want to talk to you about the diet that I'm going to talk to is uh, the first culprit in our diet. It came as a shock to me when I read it. Number one culprit in our diet is dairy and milk. It's unfortunate that we all have thought, somehow we've been brainwashed by advertisement, and because it has come down from ages that milk is good for health and we should drink a lot of it. 49% of the calories from whole milk comes from fat, and this particular fat is not good for our health because it's not made for human beings. It's made for the calf. Milk products like cheese and butter and paneer contain even more because they are concentrated versions of milk. And cow's milk, as you know, is a foreign protein. No wonder we suffer from so many allergies and joint problems and headaches and migraines and reproductive problems. That's all because we are eating a foreign protein. Milk is loaded. Of course, today's milk, is just not the milk that our grandfathers fed us when we were children, because it is made from factories where they want to produce more and more milk. So it's loaded with hormones, chemicals, pesticides, and antibiotics. So this milk is definitely not good for our health. And one of the leading authors has said that casein, which makes 87% of cow's milk protein, is the most significant carcinogen that we can ever see. And that's said by Dr. Campbell, one of the authorities in this field. I'll just tell you why this milk is not good for us. Well, when a calf is born, it weighs about 60 pounds. And within about 3 months, it increases to 350 pounds. So nature has put in the milk in the cow to feed the calf so that it can grow at this pace. It grows at 40 times more than the human baby. If we give this kind of milk to human babies, what will be the fate of these children? That's the problem here. So cow's milk is good only for the calf and definitely not for us, because the constitution is totally different, and we as human beings are the only people on this earth which drink milk even after weaning, and unfortunately not even our own species, milk from another species. This is the problem. Well, I must tell you what are the benefits of leaving dairy. Every other person suffers from acidity, indigestion, menstrual pains, migraines, joint problems. uh, this list can go on and on. All the allergies, your sinuses, asthma, and weight you tend to put weight. So all these problems are directly related to eating dairy. And if you don't believe it, if any one of you have these problems, kindly just stop taking milk and milk products. Milk does not mean just milk. It could be curds, it could be cheese, it could be butter, it could be bakery stuff. You have to ice cream. All these have milk in some form. You just give it up just for 3 weeks, and you see the changes in what happens to you. And now the other portion, that other culprits I want to mention is meat and egg. Our digestive tract as human beings is actually built to be vegetarian diet, and I'll tell you how. Well, if you can compare the teeth structure of different animals, carnivores and herbivores, they have different structures. These carnivores have huge canines to tear the flesh and eat it, whereas we herbivores, we grind our food like cows and horses. Our teeth structures are similar. So that means we are built in the mouth itself only to eat plant-based food. Well, again, if you go a little deeper, the length of our intestines, I'm sure you must have heard about this, is very, very long. It's about 8 to 10 times the length of our vertebral column, whereas the length of the intestines of carnivores are very short. So that this meat that goes into our body should not putrefy, it must be thrown out at the earliest. That's why carnivores have very short intestines, but unfortunately, we have very long ones. That's because vegetables need much more time, and we need that the length of the intestines need to be very big. So that also means that we are meant to eat vegetables. Well, as why not meat? The cholesterol in meat is the main cause for clogging of our arteries, which causes heart attacks. And the WHO itself has classified meat as a group 1 carcinogen. And meat has absolutely no fibers, which are very, very important. So the bottom line is meat and milk are similar in composition. Meat is nothing, rather milk is nothing but liquid meat. They are bad proteins, they are bad fats, and there are no fibers. Well, egg also is the same story, where it has got very bad, and each egg contains is equal to almost 5 cigarettes. That's what the science says. Well, this is a small story I want to tell you. In 1940s, during the Second World War, when the Germans took over Norway, they not only took over the Norway, they also took away their livestock to feed their army. Then they were forced to go vegetarian, and the heart rate in Norway fell dramatically. And after the war, when they got back the livestock, then again the heart rate went up. I mean, just shows that how directly it is related. So, at the bottom line is that it's like putting diesel into a petrol car if you eat meat and milk as human beings. That's the problem. So, what are we supposed to eat? We are built and born to eat plants only. Uh, well, why plants? Because the fats and proteins are good for us, and they are loaded with a lot of nutrition. Most important is fibers, and fibers maintain good bacteria. They prevent sugars from suddenly getting into your bloodstream, so that diabetics, you don't have sugar spikes. And most important is that they don't allow you to overeat. You just see here, I've shown 3 stomachs. 400 calories of oil just fills about less than quarter. 400 calories of meat just fills about quarter, but 400 calories of vegetables fill whole stomach. That means the stomach does not calculate calories. It only calculates in volume. You feel full when you eat these vegetables, so that you don't have a tendency to put on weight. So these are the foods that can harm you, as I've told you, and why. And of course, what are the things you can eat? You may say, if you don't eat anything, what you need to eat? Whole food, plant-based and organic. Organic means, of course, without pesticides. When I say whole foods, that means they should not be polished. Even if it's vegetable foods, if it's polished and processed, it is not good. Of course, fruits and nuts are very good for the body. When you switch over to this kind of food, as I told you, it must be plant-based, it must be whole, it must be organic foods. And two things you need to watch out for: your vitamin B12 and vitamin D needs to be monitored. And the results are there for you to see within 3 weeks. If you switch over, you can read the weight comes down, BP if you have comes down, sugars come down, blood cholesterol comes down. All these are measurable units, and you will see them within weeks. And this should put you on a permanent path. But then you need to change. First thing you need to change is, no, they say, no, there are three things that you need to change our behavior. First is the mind, second is the mind, and third is the mind. It is a mental makeup. So we have to reverse this deep conditioning that we have been put into and motivate ourselves, eat mindfully, so that I want you as teachers to, check every word what I have said, do some research, do some reading for yourself, convince yourself. Then only you can convince your mind, yes, that we've been on the wrong track. The question next is that when should I change? I want to tell you that no time is too early or no time is too late. To tell you the truth, with the current type of food, we these arteries start getting clogged in the early, when you're 10 and 12-year old itself. And of course, at any time you can change and you can gain the benefit because the body has a mechanism to heal itself. But the sad part is that we all want a quick fix. Nobody wants to have lifestyle changes, but everybody wants to, have eat what they want and just take a pill or some procedure. So what I'm trying to is, because most of the people do it, does not mean it is right. Don't be afraid to walk alone and take the lonely path. And the oldest and the strongest, people say, where will you get your calcium from? Where will you get your proteins from? Ask these animals, the oldest, the strongest, and the largest, they are all fueled by plants. And here you have some, very famous vegans who have really taken it up because of so many reasons. They are athletes, actors, and politicians. Well, I've given you the facts and figures, but they say these facts and figures don't really change behavior, but stories do. So I'll just take 1 minute and give you my story. Um, I am 67 years old, and I got diabetes when I was 40. I thought it was natural. My parents had it, so I just took some tablets. And in the last 25 years, as I grew up, this number of tablets went kept increasing, and other problems like cholesterol and kidney stones and prostates and all this start showing up, so much so that at the end of the day I would be taking no less than 12 tablets a day. But till about a year and a half back, I came across a book written by Dr. Nandita Shah, Reversing Diabetes in 21 Days, where she spoke about this diet and its problem, and I instantaneously changed. Yeah, I was born non-vegetarian, and when anybody asked me, "Are you a vegetarian or non-vegetarian?" I used to tell them I am a anti-vegetarian. I was very proud of what I was eating. Then suddenly I realized, although being a doctor, I didn't know all these adverse effects, and I switched overnight to completely a plant-based diet. And within 3 to 4 weeks, you won't believe, my cholesterol came down, my sugars came down, creatinine levels came down, weight came down. This was almost like magic. I thought some miracle was happening. Just by changing my diet, I could do all this. So, friends, what I'm trying to tell you here is that please don't blindly follow what somebody has told us, be it our parents. Let's look at science, because there is light at the end of the tunnel. You, if you want to know, it's not, people may say people were living only to 40, 50 years, 50 years back, but now they are living to 60, 70 years. But what kind of life they are leading? It's not lifespan I'm talking about. I'm talking about health span. It's not how long you live, how well you live. Say you should have clear goals. You want to, witness your granddaughter's wedding, not in a wheelchair but dancing. That must be your aim. And towards that end, if you work and if you change, you will see the benefits. I have seen it, and I'm passionate about it. I just wanted to share with you all these facts, so that you don't have to believe me blindly. You do your research. I will give you some references. You can go to any of these, especially tube. I saw this on YouTube, What the Health. It's a documentary, maybe an hour or so. I want each one of you to just watch it once, and you will get all the science. There's so much science behind it. Why this plant-based diet is good for us, good for our health, and for animals and the world. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. That was really an interesting session. We came to know the history and geography of science. So history and geography of science,
Mhm.
like the good culprits, like you were discussing about the culprits. That was really interesting, and I like the tree. That is a root to the fruit. What exactly the we have in 21st century skills also the root and the fruit according to the century what we are supposed to eat. And it was really an interesting, sir. I just had a question. So you had like how to we have discussed a lot of stress free. So like I just want to we have told sir, a lot of things related to stress. How to
Yes.
make stress down, that is one thing. Stress, that is one thing. What type of food we have to eat, and this particular situation also one more thing. I don't want to tell like doctors used to tell to that egg is good for health. Now you're
Mm.
telling one egg is equivalent to five cigarette, correct? So how just main thing is like how to make ourselves stress free. So we are in the world of full of stress. How to get make ourselves stress free?
See, well, just regarding eggs, I just thought I'll say just a few words. Well, you see, egg and milk, these are all, the advertising propaganda, the industry that's playing a role here. They, sometimes, they do get studies also to confuse people. That's why they say, Monday, Sunday, Monday, rose cow one day and all this. And, you get all the calcium. There are more than huge number of, products that give us, plants that give us calcium. If you say people don't eat, drink milk, they say, where will I get my calcium? Don't eat meat, where will I get my proteins from? These are all, myths. You can get them all from plants. And now, of course, regarding actually it's a very, very fond topic, very close to my heart, stress. Stress is nothing but, our mind's reaction to what is happening outside. We feel, no, anything that's not happening in our favor, we judge it as bad. And when you say it as bad, then you get under stress because, you feel that you have no control. See, they say that, 10% of whatever happens outside, we have no control over. But 90% of the problem are depending on how we respond to the what happens, the 10% events that happen. If you judge an event as good or bad, then there is a problem. If you judge an event as just happening and it's neither good nor bad, it doesn't really. It's an internal problem actually. Stress is an internal problem. It is not an external problem. We always blame it on somebody or something.
Okay.
No, I am stressed because of somebody, my work. It's not really like I am stressed because I am reacting to my work. If you love your work, you will not be under stress. If you hate your work, you will be again. So the secret is to accept things. Whatever you accept, that becomes a part of you. When you accept, that becomes heaven. When you resist, that becomes hell. So if you're accepting your job,
Thank
so either you accept whatever you do. If you really don't like it,
yes.
quit and do something else.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Lot of good inputs. We'll start filling ourselves with the natural fuel, like the we'll be vegetarian. That is also one thing. Very good thought, sir. So, on behalf of Bangalore Sahodaya and the entire fraternity, I, Dr. Mahesh, would like to thank you so much, sir. I give a really heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Bhujaneshetty, sir, who spent his busiest time raising the occasion. Today we had get an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this is definitely encouraging us in our future events. Thank you so much, sir. Have a good day, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mahesh, for having me. It was a very, very
Thank you so
pleasant.
much, sir. Yes, sure. Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Yeah. Mental health. Mental health is not a destination, but a process. It's about how you drive, not where you're going. Now we are having a fantastic speaker like Dr. Kannan Girisa. I'm pleased to introduce I'm excited to talk about Dr. Kannan Girisa, who is a consultant, psychiatrist, and psychotherapist. Dr. Kannan Girish has done his MBBS and MD in psychiatry. His constant efforts towards the welfare of children led to the foundation of Live Life Education Private Limited. Live Life Education Private Limited, under the aegis of Dr. Kannan Girish, works for holistic development of the students and teaches them to lead life to their fully potential. Due to the related contribution, he is recognized worldwide and honored with plethora of awards, such as Award of Excellence by His Excellency Sri Pranab Mukherjee in April 2017. the Pride of Tamil Nadu Award 2017, the Times of India Edu Icon Award 2016, the Time of India Edupreneur Award 2015. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much. I welcome you, Dr. Girish Kanan, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So my time is 2:50. So I should finish at 3:05. Correct.
Yes, sir.
3:05. So 15 minutes. So I just time myself. Yeah. Very good afternoon to all of you all. I am Dr. Kanan Girish. I am a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and counselor, and I am the founder of this organization called Live Life Education. It's a very big honor for me to be here with the Bangalore Sahodaya and meet all of you all in this wonderful August gathering. So without much delay, let me just start off by giving a small introduction to myself. Now, a lot of you will be thinking, Napa, psychiatrist, he's a psychiatrist, he's so energetic. Yes, psychiatrist only has to be energetic today in the lockdown because we are the ones who take care of all the mental needs of varied set of people. So my journey started way back in 2008, 2009, where I was so passionate about education that I wanted to do something for children. But it really pained me that today's children were going through so much of issues, and whatever counseling you give them, they will come back and tell you, sir, first you live with my parents and see, sir. Sir, very simple, sir. You live in my house for a day and see, sir, you will understand. You attend class in my school, sir, then only you will understand my problem. So I started to see that somewhere down the line, we have to make a lasting change. And how do we make this lasting change? One child that came into my life changed my life. The child came with hyperactivity. I felt very sad. We were diagnosed as ADHD, gave him medicines, told him to come back next week. The child didn't come. 6 months later, the mother tells me, the day the child saw me, the next day the principal gave a TC. The child had a fight with the father, and in a fit of rage, this child ran to the 4th floor, got on top of the terrace, and jumped head down. The head of the child hit the ground, split into two. That death really shook me up from within. That child should have lived. That child should have had a chance to identify why he was born in this world. That day, I took a decision in my life. No child should ever commit suicide in this world. And with that interest, I started this organization called Live Life Education. Started with one student in my clinic. Today, by the grace of God, we have worked with more than 250,000 students across India today in the area of mental health for school and college-going children. So, before I go into what we actually do and what we can do to harness our hind and mind, let me give you a couple of small tips for you to handle yourself. Today, I will tell you with pride that educators are the torch bearers of our country. Yes, educators are the torch bearers. When COVID hit, the healthcare workers came in. The second people who stood up for the entire population of children from across dimensions was our school teachers, principals, and all the educators who stuck together, took it onto themselves to take it online and reinvent themselves. And I think it's a proud moment to all educators in India, because I truly believe educators are the only people in this country who can bring a change in the dimension of the people, of the children. So when we go in there, first I would like to talk about the 5 E's. I would always say the 5 E that every educator principal must have. The first E you should always have in life is energy. As a teacher, as a principal, you need to build your energy level. If you're going to sit like this, hello children, why are you doing in online? That's it. The children also will start going now. So first E you all need to develop is energy. You need to be energetic. Second, you need to be enthusiastic. You might have your children there. You might have some family issues going on. You might have some financial issues. But when you come for your class, be it online or offline, you need to be enthusiastic to see your children and talk to your children, communicate with your children, teach your children. So energy and enthusiasm is very critical. The third one you always need is empathy. You need to be empathetic to your children. There are children with different needs. There are children who are visual, children who are auditory, children who are hyperactive, children who are non-hyperactive. You need to understand the child's world from the child's world and not from your view of the child's world. That's called empathy. The fourth E that is very important is engaging. What is that? You need to engage children today, because children are different today. They are coming from an online generation, a generation where tabs are there. We never even saw tabs. In fact, when I was growing up in the 80s, we used to on TV only on Sunday for that movie of and the Ramayana, Mahabharata. So that generation is what we came in. And so I want all of you to realize you need to engage children. Engage them in great conversations, engage them in great thought-provoking activities, engage them from their world on what they are going. So wherever engagement is there, that's where children will actually go towards. That's four. And the last E that I want to tell all of you all is empower. Look at empowering the children. Children need to be felt that they have the power, they have the confidence, they have the decision making skills within themselves. They are part of the process. Gone are the days that we can enforce things on children today. We need to empower children to make the right decisions in our life, because the globe has changed. Thanks to online education, everything has become flat. Now I can sit anywhere in this country and get the best teacher in front of my computer to teach me. So that means what? We need to empower children to use digital in a right way, use digital in an effective way, use digital in a wonderful way. So these are the 5 E's which I think are very, very fundamentally critical, and the first thing that I want to build up to all of you in this talk. The second thing I want to tell all of you all, please understand, anything that you do in education, always look to build habits in children. Unless and until you build great habits and environment in children, you cannot bring any change inside of child. It's only habits that bring lasting change. I'm sure all of you will agree inside of that. So that's where I really felt when I was doing programs in 2016, whatever we do for the children will not be able to, last over a period of time. They look very nice when they watch an inspirational video, a motivational talk, then they'll go back to their old way of thinking. So I started to see how can we make a difference that is long lasting. So that is the place that I really thought that the only way we can make a thing long lasting is provided we get children to start making a change that is long lasting. And how do we make a change that's long lasting? We can only make a change that's long lasting by bringing that change onto the children. So I'd like to share my screen over here. Just a second. Thank you. Can you all see my screen? Yes. So I like to share my screen here, where I want to talk about a world that is, imagine a world shaped by life-ready leaders. So I started going on this place to see how do we create a leader who is a life-ready. And that's where I came across the work of Dr. Stephen Covey, who wrote this wonderful book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where he spoke about habits and how you can build habitual lasting change in children. Then I went up to the US. I studied the model in the United States. As a psychiatrist, I was so passionate. We signed an MOU and we became an international partner to bring this curriculum into India. Beautifully, APJ Abdul Kalam said, you cannot change your future. You can change your habits, and surely your habits will change your future. And that's where I started to look at how we can build beautiful habits which are research driven into the children. Now look at this whole diagram over here. Here you have 7 concepts, 7 basic concepts of social emotional learning, which they follow with the 7 habits. Habit 1 is proactive. Habit 2 is beginning with the end in mind. And habit 3 is putting first things first and making children prioritize. This forms a private victory in the child. And then we spoke about thinking win-win, where children learn about how they can win and how others can win. Seeking first to understand, where today one of the biggest complaints parents say is children don't listen. Making children listen. And habit 6, which is synergizing, teaching children how they can work together. Today the biggest problem is children are very lonely. They feel depressed because they don't know how to synergize, think win-win, and start to understand their parents. So that's why the public victory habits become very clear. And last is how beautifully Dr. Bhujbal sir spoke before this, that sharpening the saw, balancing your mind, body, heart, and spirit. Fundamentally important in education. And COVID, as if it's taught one thing, it has taught that health is very, very critical and should be part of any social emotional learning we bring to children. So the last, we also do what is called the 4 disciplines of execution, where we teach children to focus on what is important. I'm sure all of you will agree, focus is the most important problem today, getting children to focus, then getting them to act on what they focus, then keeping a scoreboard to see how they are progressing, and also an accountability structure inside of them. So I'll just run through with a story from one of the schools that we did. Always, I believe this. If you want to bring change in education, you need to start with two stakeholders. The first one is the parents. So we start our programs usually with the parents by teaching all the parents how to handle the children by using these 7 habits. Because unless parents bring the change, you will not be able to bring lasting change. So you can see parents sitting under the tree, so enthusiastic and learning the 7 habits along with me. And then once the parents have learned it, the next stakeholder is the teacher. Then all the teachers go through the same language, how they can actually handle children by using the same emotional 7 habits and how they build those habitual structures. So then we go on to the teachers, and then we started training the teachers in the school, Jain Vidyalaya in Madurai. Then after COVID, it was online teaching, where we were teaching the teachers how they can engage the children by teaching these habits. Then it goes to the students, the real stakeholders. So now if you see, we started with the parents, then went to the teachers, and then to the students. And wonderfully, all the students started taking it up as a real concept. They build a 7 habits tree inside of their classrooms. You can see very beautifully how the culture in the school has changed. With the 7 habits tree in every classroom had a 7 habits tree. We brought in a concept called emotional bank account, where every child has a bank account where children appreciate and put positive feedback, and no negative feedback is encouraged, just improvement, how they can improve. So you can see how creatively the children came up with their emotional bank accounts. Then they had classroom rules, where how all the children together create their own rules. This is called bringing them together into synergy. So you can see how beautifully the children create their rules. Listen, share, take turns. Let's all say we are sorry. So here the children take the ownership. Then every child had a mission statement. What is their mission and what do they want to create out of the mission? So very beautifully you can see. Then children were given classroom jobs. So each child was given a job, and how the child will be able to take that job and start to bring that job into real life. Then the physical environment of the class, from the language they use in the class. Now today, foul language is a very important issue. The magic words that they should use, like thank you, sorry, may I, excuse me. And just look at how they change the corridor. Yes, this is a corridor of a school in a tier 2 city. Beautifully, the children and the teachers came together and redesigned the corridor. And you can see how beautifully each one of them started to redefine what they felt how their school should be. So every area in the corridor was redefined by the children so beautifully to bring in a lot of color. And then we did an event called Rethinking Education, where we invited principals from across the state to come and see. And all these children leaders came up, and these children taught the principals about the 7 habits. They also went to a government school nearby and started teaching government children the 7 habits, be it yoga, be it celebration time, be it seeking first to understand, repainting the walls of the school, or even being together and working together with these habits. Their annual day had something to do with the 7 habits. So each of these were there. And as lockdown happened, they created the same emotional bank account in the house. Can you see here? Sister, mother, father, brother, all of them created it together. So beautifully, these children brought it. And that's where I end by saying a beautiful thing from Stephen Covey, which is live, love, learn, and leave a legacy. And I think, as we always say, when you look at habitual change, when we bring habitual change, that's where we can bring true transformation inside of the children. True transformation only happens when we actually bring out habitual change inside of children. Now, I will start moving on to just give you a small brief. I have 2 more minutes. 2 stories, just 2 stories. This child, the parents were going in for a divorce. The parents were going in for a divorce, and the child was being, bombarded with questions. When the peak of the divorce, this child went to the mother and father and said, "Mummy, Daddy, why don't you both seek first to understand both of us? Have a clear end in mind. Let us think win-win, and let us together create a beautiful family." The moment the parents heard this, they had tears in their eyes. They hugged their daughter, and they really realized how that girl at that age was able to stand up and talk in such a huge argument. To long story short, now these children have joined back together, and today that family had gone for a holiday before the COVID, and they had sent a photograph to me saying how beautifully now they have come together as a family because of what the children stood. And why I say that today? Today is the generation of learning where world is flat with online, and children have true potential. If we as educators can communicate the worth and potential of every child so clearly inside of them that these children start to see that inside of themselves. That's where true transformation will actually happen. Inspiration, motivation will not last. Habitual change is the only thing that will bring about a lasting legacy inside of children. I conclude by saying a small thing. We are born once and we die once. We don't take anything that we are born with. We don't take anything when we are dying also. In between, we only create lovely memories. Let's create lovely memories as educators with our children. Thank you. Thank you. Over to you, Dr. Mahesh.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kanangiri. Wonderful speech, a good experience. I really love it. So a lot of new things we can learn. Like so, some questions, like your topic. I just want to know. Physically, nowadays kids are students are really physically they are strong, mentally they are strong. So how to overcome this social emotional areas to make more strong. So how to focus on that particular area.
So very important, sir. Social emotional learning will start predominantly with self-awareness. That's the whole key. Once the children start to realize what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses, what is their true potential inside of them, how they can harness the true potential. Now, as an educator, how do you do that? Give children more opportunities to voice their opinions, voice their mind frame. Like a simple job, like when you start an online class, just asking all the children, how are you all doing? Type out and put in the chat box. That's the one they feel that their self-esteem grows. The second thing after self-awareness is self-esteem. How does the child think about themselves? Here, habits are very, very important, like how I told you. Creating an environment that is nourishing. See, however good a seed is, the seed has to be nourished in a good environment, which is the water, the minerals, and all that. Same way, however good the child is, the environment, which is the parents, the teacher, and the school environment, is very critical in order to bring it. So I would suggest self-awareness, self-esteem, environmental monitoring, and self-encouragement to the child. Encouraging the child about their own greatness, their own potential. These are the key steps where you can actually integrate both physical and their mind together as social emotional learning.
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. Actually, that is perfect answer. So, on behalf of Bangalore Sahodaya, I would like to thank you so much, sir. So, I must mention a deep sense of appreciation for Dr. Kanangiri, sir, for sharing his expertise within psychiatry field view on the child psychology. So, thank you so much, sir. So, thank you so much once again on behalf of Bangalore Sahodaya. Thank you so much. If we start being honest about our pain, our anger, and our shortcoming instead of pretending they don't exist, then maybe we will leave the world a better place that we can found it. Dr. Jitendra Nagpal, sir. It's my pride and pleasure to introduce well-known speaker Dr. Jitendra Nagpal, sir. Program Director, Expressions India, the National Life Skills, Community and School Wellness Program, New Delhi. He is a renowned senior consultant psychiatrist and in charge, Institution of Mental and Health and Life Skill Promotions, Mulchand Medical City, New Delhi have been in the service planning, training groups, and on board with many committees under the MHRD, MOH, FW, and Ministry of WCD, Social Justice, CBSE, NCRT, and UGC, and so on. He has been instrumental in developing the health and physical education guidelines under the National Curriculum Framework of NCRT. Dr. Napal sir is also working group member of Manodarpan, psychological support for mental health and well-being of students during COVID, overbreak, and beyond. It is an initiative of by Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, as a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiman. He is the current chairman, Association of Indian School Counselors and Allied Professionals, which seek to empower, support, and streamline in the school counselors and aligned professionals in their role to effectively promote child and adolescent in an inclusive environment. He has been awarded Excellence Award for School Healthy Heart Initiative in India 2007, Delhi State Child Welfare Award for Distinguished Service in Child Development Department of Social Welfare, Government of NCT of Delhi 2005. Thank you so much, sir. Like, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mahesh, and thanks a lot to both the speakers for their wonderful deliberation. I am indeed honored to be part of the Bangalore Sahodaya National Conference. Once again, coming back to Bangalore, I remember the Bangalore Sahodaya a few years back, and it's a wonderful journey to actually be part of Sahodayas and get the Sahयोग and the Samarthan, the solidarity and the unification of learning experiences through the eyes of the school leaders. Thank you so much. I know I have just a few minutes, isn't it? We are running late. But then I think consistency and collaboration is the hallmark of what I'm able to understand now. And I'll run through, to make it very crisp, I'll run through what the government of India has actually done in a wonderful manner, bringing in alignment the physical, psychological, social, and spiritual well being, highlighting the mental health component for the last 20 years where I've been working on this. I remember all of you respected principals at the Sahodaya National Conference, the NCF 2005, all of you are aware of. Remember, mental health as a nomenclature was first time included in that document in the history of Indian education in a manner that was holistic, that was not compartmentalized as a stigma, and the support system within the school system, including the university systems, was taken complementary to physical and spiritual health. So we are lucky. We are lucky we belong to a nation where holism and constructivism of education actually takes into consideration all the four dimensions of basic health: physical, psychological, social, and spiritual. Why this is important and what the discussions are going on in the last about 50 minutes, I think the stigma associated with the mental health and well-being has largely influenced our thinking process and emotionality, because the support system in the schools and also the services in the schools have been very bleak across the country. I want to have just two thoughts in your mind. Can you imagine how many schools approximately we have in India? We have about 16 lakh schools in the country. We have about 930 universities in the country. One of the largest, or probably the largest education system in the world, and supported by, we started with literacy, we spoke about education in the 60s and 70s, now we talk about holistic human development. The National Education Policy 2020 talks about socio-emotional well-being in a manner that is encompassing, that is holistic, and has an umbrella which actually takes the purpose of going to school in a holistic manner. And that's very important. That's so important now because the data in India talks about a significant percentage of people who are young citizens of the country actually suffering from issues concerning mental health and well-being. We can go to the next chart. Let me tell you that about 13 to 17% of our children, they suffer from tertiary care, mental health, and psychosocial well-being disorders. Now that's a huge number. We have the largest adolescent population in the world. We have nearly about 25%. You can imagine how much that would be. Nearly 35 crores of citizens in our country are adolescents, which is almost equal to the population of United States of America. So the leadership, the ownership, and the student empowerment in the mental health scenario becomes the primary evidence of culture, of educational culture, as far as self-esteem and emotional well-being is concerned. That's what we have been doing for the last about 18 years. And the NCF 2005 incorporated those principles. The new education policy has a significant treatise given to this particular factor. CBSE has done a marvelous work in times of crisis, the board exams, and many other times where the challenges for the special need children, the people with disabilities, and the PWD Act applied to schools has a significant role how the inclusive education can be taken into a large umbrella. We cannot see mental health in isolation. We have to see mental health and well-being integrated into the classroom as part of the holistic learning process and learning outcomes. I remember recently in one of our Mind Smart, which is a countrywide program that deals with the empowerment of adolescent mental health leadership in schools. Why do we walk to school in the morning and we run back home in the afternoon? It's a thought for all of you. Think about it. I heard a peer educator asking this question, and frankly, the seniors and the adults and the renowned personalities who were sitting in that international summit could not answer it. Why does one walk to the school in the morning and run back home in the afternoon? It is the children who answered the questions, and you have the answer. I need a temple which is a happy temple of learning. I need a rejoicing temple which is a celebration of learning. I need a temple, my school, which actually celebrates every child, which celebrates the idea of childhood and self esteem, self confidence. No child left behind. Every child is important as a leader. Can we do that as a school? Please do it. That's where your empowerment lies as a school head. That's where the empowerment lies in the Indian child who's forming the 35 crores of adolescents later on. And that's why we are the highest suicides in the world, that we don't do that. We have the highest suicides of universities in the world right now. The NCRB 2018 and 19 talks about 11,000 suicides across the country. Now, that's because life skills as a paradigm of mental health positivity, that's 21st century skills incorporated in the learning, have to be taken care right from early childhood. All of you know that early childhood education for the parents and teachers and for the students also, and their inherent life skills need to be untapped, unfolded, blemished, and brought forward somewhere in the interest of adolescent well-being later in life. What's the point in focusing on the senior classes as emotional well-being factor when the foundation years, which the new policy highlights, actually gets ignored or neglected? We are not looking at literacy as a paradigm of education anymore. We are looking at overall holistic constructivism in education. That's where the component of mental health, where our data from the ICMR and the health ministry tells us if every seventh Indian is in need of psychiatric help, then how many children need it? I can share with you that more than 50% of all adult mental health disorders, they actually emanate or root in childhood. So the school has the onus, the family has the onus and responsibility to work in harmony. You can go to the next one, sir. And this is how probably we take on the stakeholders' opinion making while we are in the school. Now tell me, if there are about 90 lakh teachers in the country, or probably more than that, how many of them actually would be willing to identify those early signs, early symptoms, early difficulties of coping, dysfunctionality, and also maybe emotional disturbances in children, which can be tapped and intervene at a point that it does not take on a disorder, take on a disturbance where you need a tertiary care professional to manage it. That's the purpose of schooling. When you take a whole school approach, you actually look at curriculum as a offshoot. You look at curriculum as a byproduct of syllabus, and the curriculum incorporates so many dimensions where each child shares or cares and also becomes a consistent explorer of mental health in the classroom and probably the school also. So there are 5 C's here as we are talking about certain important acronyms. Remember, the care in the school has to be then supported by a consistent, compassionate communication, which actually is through collaboration. And we need the family there. That's where, out of bounds, the school has to go into the family system, the family has to come into the school system. We will probably come to a situation where the mental health issues will be not only much less, but will be explored, identified, intervened at a point when those little children who forget their childhood and become victims of mental health inadequacy at a very early stage in life, you can actually take care of them much early. And this led to the formation of the National Peer Educators Forum. In 2012, the first International Adolescent Summit by the CBSE was held, and that took a remarkable turn in generating such fabulous modules on life skills education in schools. The CBSE has taken the lead for the entire country in bringing in those life skills manuals and modules, which actually get translated as peer empowerment and peer leadership programs in schools. More than 25,000 schools are aware about that. Now we need to do something about it. Take the new policy into consideration, adopt it, allow the school teacher or the in charge counselor, with the help of the peer educators, become leaders in positive well being and mental health. And this is a good practices model. Many of the schools, as you can see on this inverted triangle, now this has a story behind it. You all are aware of Professor Gilbert Botwin, the gentleman who coined the term life skills, first time ever in the world. Now, he happened to be in New Delhi for the International Adolescent Summit with the CBSE, and is also helped us to formulate certain guidelines which now the new policy can actually adopt to follow a model which has a four-tier system which can be implemented in every school. And there are more than 5,000 schools, I'm sure, who probably have been directly or indirectly partners in the peer educators program at these four levels with the help of the counselor. I come to the second point before I talk a little bit about the advocacy of school leadership in mental health. We have just about maybe few thousand counselors in the country for the school system. Therefore, teacher as the first level counselor, teacher as the first aid counselor, you, all of you great respected leaders in school education as the first level counselor, because nobody else in the schooling system can be a better counselor than the school teacher or the class teacher, because that is inherent in the education, the growth, the development of our great education warriors. They've proven themselves during the COVID-19 era, and the online education has brought in salutations to our respected teachers. But we need to give them continued advocacy about it. What are the current problems? We are actually facing a mental health pandemic now. The NBT India has done the pioneering research about the psychosocial impact on the child and the adolescent of India. They have published 7 books, the Ministry of Education. And as a lead researcher in that, we found there is a 3 to 4-fold increase in certain behavioral emotional problems while children are studying at home. And the school family partnership is very immensely and adequately required to bring in a change of perception of the mindset, the stigma, the services that the family can offer the school and the school can offer the family in promoting child and adolescent positive mental health. So we are learning on two angles. We are learning through the idea about how the COVID-19 era and the beyond can actually help us to become great masters in the field of mental health for helping the next generation who is going to lead us. We are having data and statistics that are multiplying despite all the best services in the community. But if institutions like schools and colleges become the genesis of well-being, and which are actually happening but in very small numbers, we need large number of teachers who are actually becoming partners in promoting that happiness. If you walk into a school and as a school leader you can create a happy school and a happy teacher, you have done the marvelous work. You created a happy child, and a happy child need not be the child who is not having stresses in life. A happy child need not be the one who does not have non-communicable disorders in life. We know that hypertension, diabetes, obesity, cancer, drug abuse, depression, they are there in young people also, a lot of them, as we just highlighted in the session today. But the more important worrying part is, disturbing part is, the age is advancing. The childhood obesity, childhood drug abuse, the easy and accessible and also available substances, which are hardcore illegal substances in and around the school, is a worrying factor for our country. You should have a look at the Government of India report on substance abuse. It highlights how the adolescents of our country are actually going through a huge dramatic change in perception about how high risk behaviors need to be managed. And the answers are given there. So we need to talk more to the young ones. We need to share more time. We need to give them more investment, have their opinions recorded. And I'll be very proud to mention that the Honorable Education Minister, Dr. Nishank, is inaugurating the International Adolescent Summit on 18th of December. And this is going to have more than 12,000 adolescents across the country participating online. And that's a remarkable movement for our mental health availability, accessibility in the country. Lastly, Manodarpan. एक पहल है, एक शुरुआत है और एक legacy है. Manodarpan, as sir mentioned, Mahesh ji mentioned, it is the first time ever and the largest initiative of the Ministry of Education for promotion of mental health in schools and universities of India. It is likely to outreach crores of young people, and that's a helpline, that's a advocacy, that's a portal, and that also takes care of Far East and also the great depths of the country in the remote areas where the whole process of mental health and well-being is hardly available or even condemned through stigma. We need to reach out. It's not urban centric. We cannot allow facilities like these to remain in the urban metros. We need to reach out to villages, the schools in the rural areas, and also help the young people to become masters of their destiny through empowerment. That's why I call it the Mind Smart program of the country. With these words, I'd like to end because I wanted to share the stakeholders' opinion making. And first stakeholder is the child and the adolescent of India, and we need to put the crown, need to put the mantle on their shoulders and the head to take us forward in the 21st century skills. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's a proud moment, and we can always get back for helping any school leader to take the leadership forward in these areas. Thank you, Mahji.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. One question. So, what effort I, as a person, should put into get myself into right mental state? This I can be as a teacher or as a student.
So, most importantly, be aware of your own self. I call it having good insight because I think even as pedagogical skills, our country is facing a lot of teacher related stress in the last so many decades. And today, with the COVID 19, I think being aware, being responsible, and being empowered about your own physical and mental health as a pedagogical skill is most important. If we talk about non communicable disorders, I think teachers are obviously going through a lot of charm and the challenge of the new world. So
Yes.
being aware of your own responsibility towards your health, then you become a good advocate. If you want to be a good
Yes.
advocate of mental health, one has to be healthy, stable, and also serene about what we are advocating. Do get
Absolutely.
back to getting oneself evaluated, be in touch with the near and dear ones, be a happy teacher by communicating with all your children in the classroom. I think
Okay.
there are children who always complain about teachers not connecting to them, but I think it's also important that teachers take a little extra mile of becoming transformers of connectivity and compassion with the children. Every child matters. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. Excellent thought and excellent view, sir. So you have covered everything like 21st century skills, that is the need of the country, that is very, very important. And of course, the five C's, that is one thing, the caring and the collaboration as well as cooperative. And the thought regarding the national education policy also. So I would like to thank on behalf of Bangalore Sahodaya. I express my heartfelt gratitude to the eminent speaker, Dr. Jitendra Nagpal sir. Thank you so much spending with the valuable time for giving us the valuable points with us. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you so much.
So, on behalf of Bangalore Sahodaya, I would like to participate. All the participants, like those who are in the particular program, thank you so much for attending the breakout session. Session 3, thank you so much. Back to auditorium. Thank you so much. Have a good day.